lockdown, gosh, seems a long time ago, doesn't it? Although it also doesn't seem far away that the next lockdown might come. But hit us all, and I think as church leaders, we got the news that, okay, the buildings are shut, we can't gather. I was just outside my building one day wondering, like us all, what do we do? And just this idea came into my head, like, well, what about heading to the streets and taking a sound system, a speaker system, playing a beautiful favorite hymn of the church, and leading people in a prayer, maybe just saying the Lord's Prayer. I mean, how offensive can that be? So that's what I did. The Portobello Road runs through my parish. So one day, me and my housemate, we headed to the Portobello Road. Just as we pulled into the Portobello Road, we thought, oh, what song should we play? I knew it had to be Amazing Grace. That was just my hunch. We plugged in, introduced ourselves. I said, I'm a local vicar. I'm just going to be 5 minutes, just looking to lift spirits. We played the hymn. People came to their windows, doorways. And then we kept a moment's silence, lifted the sick, those struggling against the disease, those working in the NHS, in our hearts, either before God, or I said, if you don't have faith, that's fine, just keep them in mind. And then we closed, anyone who wanted to, with the Lord's Prayer. And yeah, that was the model. I think it just met with people where they were at, where we weren't allowed out, remember? So it was just going and bringing a bit of hope, lifting spirits, bringing a community together. Long story short, it grew from there. I went around other streets in my parish, and I went further afield. Invitations started coming in. I took to going around on a tricycle so that became my daily exercise, getting on my tricycle, going around with my speaker system, just pulling up. Ended up doing this thing, making 64 visits, almost universally, just receiving a almost surprisingly warm reception. I just love doing it. And the amazing thing is, the media suddenly took an interest. I don't think they had much to write about, so there wasn't much news at the Times. So suddenly, like the Evening Standard were in touch, ITV News, BBC News, where they were celebrating. They weren't wanting to pick holes in it. They were just saying, look, this has been a great, encouraging thing, and it's brought hope, clearly, to lots of people. But more, importantly, when I would go out, I would just sense the presence of God, on these streets. And the amount of messages I got on Instagram, at the Portable Priest, just saying, I'm not a Christian, but this has really moved me. I've got tears in my eyes. I've got goosebumps. I don't know what's happening. So I just trust that the Lord was really at work, and he was touching people, where they were at. So much more we'd want to say, and I wasn't preaching the whole gospel, but I was just saying a few words, saying what I could, pointing people to Jesus, saying he's alive, that he loves them, and they can reach out to him. So it was a simple idea that I ran with, tried not to overdo it. I drew stumps, at the end of lockdown for now, before I got asked to leave. Just built my faith up in terms of what God can do if we just surrender to him, if we're obedient and we step out in faith. What with Christmas coming up, I see a real opportunity there, and I'm beginning to feel stirred and excited about the possibilities then, because I think, people are used to that season, aren't they? And they're used to seeing and hearing sort of Christmas carol singing going on. And especially if, as looks likely, we're not going to be able to gather for our packed out church services and carol services, I'm feeling that it could be time for the Portable Priest to head back out to the streets. So I'm thinking I might take a sort of mobile carol service out on the streets again, maybe start with a carol, have a little 60-second sermon in the middle, pointing to Jesus, why he came, praying the Lord's Prayer together, and then ending with the carol. Hearing of other people running with the vision and sort of copying the model and just doing that. And I'm like, yes, that's what it should be. That I've copied things all my life in terms of church and kingdom stuff. So run with it. I mean, what do you need? You need some powerful speakers. You need the right wires. You need a microphone, all the leads, obviously. And I did invest in, I had some sort of patrons, some generous givers who came to support the ministry, and we bought a petrol generator. I mean, that's not cheap. It was 500 quid. It gives that mobility, but you can run the power possibly from your car stereo. A mate of mine, Vicar, did that, plugged into the cigarette lighter. That gave enough power for what he was using. And I would just say a word about tone of voice. You know, the tone. We're going there in humility. You know, every time I go out, a friend of mine, vicar friend, said, "Look, never go out assuming the response," even though it had pretty much always been people were moved, people applauded, people said thank you. But we can't assume that, can we? We've got to go humbly, introduce yourself, say why you're there, that you're not going to be too long, that we're looking to come together and bring hope at a difficult time and bring a message of Christmas and joy. But I think just tell people, you know, you're not going to be there all night, because a loudspeaker is pretty invasive. But if you go about it in the right tone of voice, and I would say, you know, you've got 60 seconds to share something about Christmas, and just get the tone right so people are thankful that you came. Give it a go. Just get the kit together, get the script together, what you'd say, check it all works, and then just pick your carols. I mean, I'm thinking of leading off with Silent Night as an opener, then a little message about Christmas, the Lord's Prayer, and closing with a banger, maybe sort of Hark the Herald, or Oh Come All Ye Faithful, something like that. But mix it up, and please tag me if you do it. I'd love to see where it's happening. And let's get a movement going. You know, in every town, in every city, let the sound of Christmas ring out. This could be God's biggest blessing on any Christmas of recent years, if carols are heard singing out, ringing out over towns and cities, the length and breadth of Britain.